the person suffering from orthorexia will always justify their choices and think they are not. They are just being healthy. Hey, it's Miri with my new weekly video. And right now I just can't believe people question the fact that orthorexia is very real. In all respect to Dr. Greger, but just because some official orthorexia nervosa diagnosis questionnaires are ridiculous doesn't mean people don't suffer from obsessing about being and eating healthy. I've spent my last 5 years in vegan orthorexia actually, and it quite frankly ruined my life and health. You can be so healthy that you're unhealthy. It is a thing, especially in the vegan community. And every time someone addressed my behaviors, I'd say exactly what Dr. Greger argues in his videos. Oh, but I'm just eating healthy. What's wrong about that? It should be the most normal thing for everyone, right? I'm now here to shed a neutral light on the highly feared and despised vegan, unclean, unwhole, unnatural, phobia-surrounded foods, really, to help you unlearn and take away the fears that I once had. You really want to stick around until the end of this video for what this all means for successful weight loss and or veganism or health goals in general. So I'm a bit frustrated about the latest videos by Dr. Greger. Frustrated because I think his work in general is awesome, but this time he meant well, but he left out essential points in his debate on the existence of orthorexia, which makes his stance on the topic not credible for me personally. This is coming from a former anorexic and orthorexic. Anorexia developed in my teenage years, lasted in a strong form for around 3 years back then vanished, and then reappeared in my life 10 years later in the disguise of orthorexia, which lasted for 5 years approximately. I was really good at justifying and sugarcoating the eating disorder reality about orthorexia, just exactly in the same way Dr. Greger talks about it. Which is why I need to raise awareness that you can strive for a too healthy way of eating, even if you don't want it to be true. Because you see things black and white and there's no way you could be eating non-whole foods in small amounts, because if you do, you might as well just eat crap 24/7, right? That's the issue of being told that anything non-ideal is a sign of not enough discipline or willpower, and that the more perfect you eat, the healthier you'll be. Which is not the whole truth. That equation does have a cracking point where the graph will not go higher in health, but have a turning point where it decreases rapidly, most of the time without the person even noticing. Me and my last 5 years of healthy vegan living are living proof that you certainly can be too obsessed with being, eating, and living healthy. It's not about the behaviors, habits, kind of food people eat that makes them orthorexic, but how they deal with it and what's going on in their minds about them. Yes, I agree that whole foods, healthy, plant-based eating should be the most normal thing to do in society, but it isn't. And we can't deny that. We can't deny we are part of this society and time era on this earth, including industry and globalization, and we can't deny that our social and mental health contributes to our health and happiness. A lot. Not only food. And that raises the problem that when we decide to put it above all else, to the point where we won't eat when there's not any food that fits our imperfection phobic criteria, then we do have a problem. And that is called undereating. I don't feel like public doctors have recognized enough yet that undereating is a big deal among vegans, and especially in the 13 to 25 aged young people who make up the majority of the movement and seeking advice on YouTube. Some experts and doctors even promote that it's fine to go hungry when there's nothing good enough to eat. And I can't disagree enough, because applying this advice to my life made me personally very obsessed and sick mentally and then also physically due to not eating enough, but that came later on. Always having excuses for why I can't eat this or that. If you're afraid of processed plant-based foods and you're convinced a little of them on top of a wholesome diet will give you disease, then something is off. If you're afraid that you won't be able to stop and believe you're addicted to them, then something is off too. That's not normal. And it has much more power to ruin your life than a vegan donut once in a while. I'll link my video on food addiction here, where I explain why it's not food that drives the addiction, which is not even addiction. So in his videos on orthorexia nervosa, Dr. Greger states that orthorexia nervosa is an unrecognized and kinda undiagnosable and unreal eating disorder. The issue here is that the criteria and symptoms experts associate with an eating disorder do not fit. But that's because the main symptoms that orthorexics suffer from are not part of the official criteria. Because it's not your outward behavior that determines whether you have an eating disorder, but it's how rigid and disordered and strict your thoughts, beliefs, convictions are about them and around the whole topic of food. And this is exactly what Dr. Greger is missing in his evaluation of the existence of orthorexia. There's a very fine line between just wanting to be healthy and obsessing over being healthy. The one good thing can also over time lead to the other bad thing without the individual noticing. And for people who have health issues to solve, this is an even finer line, because they're desperate and at some point willing to do anything that makes them overcome these health issues. And by accident, most of the people that start a vegan diet are these kind of people, myself included back then. And if that means eating perfectly when they're willing to do anything, then that's what they're doing. Also, if they're a type A type of person, like perfectionist type of person, then it's even worse in that case. Dr. Greger's orthorexia videos and the articles discussed miss quite a few points about the criteria of this disorder that should be taken into consideration. Whilst anorexia is summarized by avoiding food for fear of gaining weight, orthorexia could be described as avoiding unhealthy food for fear of getting a disease or not overcoming a disease. The latter was my biggest fear, to not get healthy again on non-ideal foods. I just thought I just have to eat like the most perfect food in order to be able to recover from health issues. And for me, that was like my justification for everything I did, thinking it's normal. Suffering people take it to a level of obsession where it is on their minds all day, carefully planning meals to make sure they tick all the right boxes. The thought of having a red light or even amber light food is intolerable and can cause anxiety. So green light food are the only ever acceptable, or organic only, or something like rice only after such and such many portions of vegetables. Things like that, you get the gist. Being in a social situation where they might be offered unhealthy food might cause panic, leading to isolation. Meals must be controlled to precision, and it can be very distressing if someone else were to prepare a meal for them. Often, weighing, counting, and portioning is part of the ritual as well. This means eating in restaurants or in public is very difficult or entirely avoided, because even the most health-conscious caterers look at you funny for asking if they will prepare a meal without oil, for example. The guilt that follows after having something that should be avoided according to their beliefs is excessive. Maintaining this level of perfection is almost impossible, which can lead to an all-or-nothing situation where if a mistake is made, like for example something unhealthy is consumed, then the day has been ruined and further unhealthy foods eaten, increasing the guilt and shame that follows. That is what I mean by the black and white attitude, which is not normal. It should be possible to eat imperfect foods and not think like, well, now everything is ruined. The obsessive avoidance of unhealthy food can lead to undereating then, skipping meals when there is no alternative, and of course weight loss and slowing down of metabolism over time.